The twin suns of Helion's spire dipped low behind the glass towers, painting the sky in red and gold. From the top floor of the tri-species diplomatic tower, Commander Elias Ward stood with his arms crossed, watching the alien city glow beneath him. He looked calm, strong, and steady, every inch the disciplined Terran officer. Behind him, the room hummed quietly with climate controls and faint alien music. But the peace ended the moment Lady Kira Thal stepped forward. Kira was the daughter of Arch-Envoy Therek Thal, one of the most powerful men in the Xyrix Dominion. Her skin glowed jade green under the lights, her silver-white hair falling in soft waves around her sharp eyes. And today, those eyes were full of anger. "I will say it again," Elias said, his voice low but firm. "The Terran Alliance will not escort your private ship into the Shattered Halo. That area is forbidden to all civilians. It's dangerous." Kira's expression darkened. "Dangerous only to humans," she snapped. "My people walked the Halo before your species even learned fire." Elias didn't react. "Rules apply to everyone, Lady Thal." Her jaw tightened. She took a step forward. "Do you know who I am? My father holds influence over half the resources your fleets depend on. You should show respect." "I respect you," Elias said, still calm. "But the answer is no." Kira's hands curled into fists. No one ever denied her, not diplomats, not soldiers, not even her own staff. She wasn't used to resistance. She wasn't used to boundaries. "You're just a human guard with a big uniform," she hissed. "You exist to protect people like me." Elias didn't move, didn't blink, and somehow, his stillness made her even angrier. She stepped closer, her face inches from his. "Last chance. Approve my clearance." "No." Something inside Kira snapped. Before anyone could move, she leaned forward and spat directly into his face. The sound echoed, a wet, sharp slap. Her two Xyrix guards stiffened at the door, unsure if they should intervene. Humans were unpredictable when insulted, and this was the deepest insult a Xyrix could give. The room froze. Elias slowly lifted his head. He didn't shout. He didn't wipe the spit away. But something in his eyes changed. His warm brown turned cold, sharp, focused. He moved. In less than 2 heartbeats, he stepped forward, caught Kira's wrist, turned her around, and guided her firmly into a reinforced chair near the window. She gasped, stunned, not hurt, just shocked. What are you doing?" she breathed. Elias didn't answer. With precise military control, he reached for the decorative restraint cords on the wall, thin bands used normally as art pieces, and began securing her wrists to the armrests. She struggled, but his grip was iron. Her guards watched, frozen. This was the envoy's daughter. But this was also a human commander acting with complete composure. Elias tied her ankles to the chair legs with equal care. No sudden force. No anger. Just absolute authority. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out a clean medical cloth, and tied it gently across her mouth to stop her shouting. The entire process took under a minute. Only after she was fully restrained did Elias wipe the spit from his cheek with the back of his hand. Then he stepped back and looked at her with calm, stern eyes. "Now," he said quietly, "we can talk about respect." Kira's eyes were wide, not from fear, but from something strange and new. For the first time in her life, she wasn't in control. For the first time, someone had drawn a line she couldn't cross. And just then, the door slid open with a hiss. Arch-Envoy Therek Thal stepped inside, his gaze falling immediately on his daughter bound to the chair. His voice cut the air like a blade. "Commander Ward," he said, "explain yourself." The room fell into a heavy silence as Arch-Envoy Therek Thal stepped forward. His emerald skin darkened with tension, and the shimmering symbols on his diplomatic robes flickered like warning lights. He was a man respected across 3-star systems, calm, sharp, and never easily shocked. But seeing his daughter tied to a chair was enough to make the air crackle. Kira tried to shout through the gag, but only muffled sounds escaped. Her silver hair clung to her cheeks, her bright eyes full of fury, and something that looked suspiciously like embarrassment. Commander Elias Ward didn't shift his posture. He stood tall and steady, hands by his sides, every movement controlled. "Sir," he said with a small nod, "your daughter assaulted me." Therek's gaze sharpened. "Assaulted how?" Elias answered plainly. "She spat in my face." A long, hard pause followed. Spitting was not just an insult in Terran culture. It was a deep personal attack. And in Xyric's culture, it was even worse. Their scholars considered it an act of contempt reserved only for sworn enemies. Kira looked away, cheeks darkening a deeper green. Theric let out a slow breath. For a moment, he didn't speak. He merely watched Elias, studying him the way a general might study a soldier before deciding if he was trustworthy. "Release her," the envoy said finally. Elias gave a respectful nod and stepped behind the chair. His fingers worked quickly, loosening the cords with the same precision he had used to apply them. Kira jerked her hands free the moment the restraints loosened, rubbing her wrists and shooting Elias a dangerous glare. When the gag came off, she burst out, "Father, this human." "Kira." Theric's voice was soft. Too soft. The kind of softness that meant danger. She froze. He turned his full attention on his daughter. "Is it true?" Kira's jaw clenched. "He refused me. He treated me like—" "Did you?" "Spit on him." The words dropped like stones. Kira's shoulders stiffened. She opened her mouth, closed it, then finally answered in a barely audible whisper. "Yes." Theric's expression didn't shift, but disappointment settled on him like a shadow. "You dishonor your family, your position, and our people." Kira looked as if she'd been struck. Elias stepped back, letting the family confrontation unfold. But Theric turned to him instead. "Commander Ward," he began. "Your response was unusual." Elias straightened. "In my culture, sir, what she did is considered extremely disrespectful. I chose a response that was firm, but nonviolent." Theric's eyes flicked toward the now loosened restraints. Nonviolent, and surprisingly controlled. Most humans would have reacted with anger. "I don't let anger guide my actions," Elias said simply. That answer seemed to impress the envoy. He gave a small nod. Then he said something that surprised even Elias. "In Xyric's tradition, restraint between adults is not merely discipline. It is considered intimate." Kira's eyes widened. Elias blinked. "Sir, I wasn't aware of that context. My intentions were strictly professional." Theric raised a hand. "I am not accusing you. Only explaining why this situation is delicate." Kira shot Elias a quick, unreadable glance before snapping her gaze away. Theric continued. "Commander, your behavior shows patience and strength. Qualities I value greatly." Then, turning to Kira, "And qualities you should learn from." Kira's face flushed darker. She crossed her arms, but said nothing. Theric stepped between them. "Given what has occurred, I want clarity. Commander Ward, do you intend to pursue disciplinary action?" Elias shook his head. "No, sir. The incident is resolved on my side." Kira stared at him, surprised. She had expected punishment. Instead, he gave her nothing. No revenge, no anger. Just boundaries. Theric nodded slowly. "Good. Then this will remain a private matter." He walked toward the exit, then stopped and looked back. "Commander Ward," he said, "meet me in my private office within the hour. There is something we must discuss." Without waiting for responses, he left. Kira stood silent for several seconds, still rubbing her wrists. Finally, she muttered, "You could have lied about what happened." Elias met her eyes. "I don't lie." She looked away again, biting her lip. "Most people do when dealing with me." Elias didn't soften. "I'm not most people." That hit her more deeply than he expected. As he turned to leave, Kira called out, her voice low. "Commander, next time, just say no. Don't tie me to a chair." Elias paused at the door, glanced over his shoulder, and answered, "I did say no, Lady Thal." That was the problem. She had no reply. The door slid shut behind him. The following morning, the Helion Spire Tower felt strangely quiet. Rumors of the incident between Commander Elias Ward and Lady Kira Thal had already begun spreading through the diplomatic floors. Some whispered Elias had insulted her. Others said Kira had provoked him. But no one knew the truth. Elias didn't care about gossip. He walked with steady steps toward the Xyric's recreation chamber, where Arch-Envoy Theric had ordered him to report. His mind replayed the envoy's final words from last night. "My daughter must learn discipline. And you, Commander Ward, may be the only one capable of teaching her." The chamber door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside was a space unlike any human training room. The air smelled faintly of sweet minerals. Panels of glowing crystal lined the walls. A soft blue mist drifted across the floor, reacting to movement with brief flashes of light. In the center, on a padded platform, stood Kira. Today she looked very different. Gone was the elegant diplomat's outfit. Instead, she wore a fitted training suit, simple, practical, and free of the dramatic cutouts she usually favored. Her silver hair was tied into a tight braid. Her posture was straight, but there was a tension in her shoulders that hadn't been there before. She turned as Elias entered. "Commander Ward," she said, her voice carefully controlled. "I assume my father told you why you are here." "He did," Elias replied. "I'm to serve as your cultural liaison, starting with physical training." Kira let out a short, dry laugh. "He thinks I need discipline. I think he wants to humiliate me." Elias shook his head. "If I wanted to humiliate you, Lady Thal, I wouldn't have untied you yesterday." Her eyes flickered, an unreadable expression, half annoyance, half something else. She stepped onto the training mat. "Very well. Teach me, human. I want to understand how you overpowered me so easily." Elias moved to stand across from her. "First rule," he said, "training is cooperation, not combat. You follow instructions. No tricks." Kira raised a brow. "You think I would cheat?" "I think you hate losing," he answered. To his surprise, Kira didn't deny it. "Fine. Begin." Elias adopted a basic defensive stance. Feet firm, body relaxed, hands open. Humans rely on balance. "You were too close yesterday. Too emotional. Too confident." Kira mimicked him, though her movements were sharper, almost graceful. Zyric's style values precision and speed. "We move like water. Water can still be redirected," Elias said. He stepped forward, gently taking hold of her arm to guide her posture. Kira stiffened at his touch, not from fear, but from the memory of yesterday's restraint. Her voice was low. "You really don't hesitate, do you?" "No," Elias said simply. "Hesitation leads to mistakes." They practiced basic holds, counters, and escapes. Kira was fast, much faster than any human Elias had trained, but she lacked structure. She attacked too directly. She left open spaces around her center of gravity. She noticed Elias analyzing her. "You're judging me." "I'm observing," he corrected. "There's a difference." Her lips tightened. She lunged suddenly, trying to catch him off guard. But Elias had expected it. He sidestepped, redirected her elbow, and gently pressed her shoulder down until she knelt on the mat. Not pinned, just firmly controlled. Her breath hitched. Not from pain. From shock. "You're doing it again," she whispered. "Doing what?" "Taking control so easily." Her eyes locked onto his. "Why?" "Because you give it up," Elias answered calmly. "You rely on status to win, not skill." Kira swallowed, her voice almost a whisper. "Most people don't fight me. I'm not most people." That made her look away, cheeks faintly darkening. Elias released her and stepped back. "Again," he said. "This time, use your head before your speed." Kira stood slowly, her expression serious now, the arrogance finally replaced with determination. She circled him again, watching him, studying him, truly analyzing him for the first time. After several rounds, she managed to counter one of his holds. Elias nodded in approval. "Better," he said. Kira exhaled deeply. "You know, I thought humans were all soft and predictable. And now..." She paused, looking directly at him. Her voice was quiet, honest. "Now I see why my father respects your people." Before Elias could respond, the chamber lights shifted from blue to red, an alert. Footsteps approached. A Zyric's aide entered quickly. "Lady Thal," he said, voice tight with urgency. "Your father requests you both." Immediately, Kira and Elias exchanged a look. Something was happening. Something big. And it wasn't about training anymore. The elevator shot upward in silence, carrying Elias and Kira to the highest restricted level of the diplomatic tower. Soft red lights pulsed along the walls, signaling an urgent summon. Neither spoke, but the tension between them was unmistakable, half from the emergency, half from the unexpected progress in their training that morning. When the doors opened, they stepped into a round chamber lined with shimmering silver panels. At the center stood Arch-Envoy Therak, waiting with several aides and a series of floating consoles that projected star maps into the air. Kira bowed her head slightly. "Father, what's happening?" Therak didn't answer immediately. His eyes moved from her to Elias, reading them both with a practiced, diplomatic sharpness. "Both of you," he finally said, "follow me." He led them into a vast hall unlike any room Elias had ever seen. The ceiling projected a living starfield, 3 moons drifting slowly above, glowing softly with pale gold, azure blue, and silver-white light. The floor was arranged in concentric circles, each made of crystal pathways that pulsed gently as they approached. Kira's expression shifted from confusion to shock. "This is the trilunar chamber." Elias glanced at her. "What is that?" "It's where our people hold our most sacred alignment rituals," she whispered. "But civilians rarely see it, and outsiders never enter." Therek stopped at the center circle and turned to face them. "Tonight," he said, "we will perform the 3 lights convergence, and Commander Ward will stand with my daughter." Elias blinked. "With respect, sir, why me?" Kira opened her mouth to object, but Therek raised his hand. "The answer," he said calmly, "lies in yesterday's incident." Kira's face flushed. "Father." "No," Therek said firmly. "You will listen." He gestured toward Elias. "What happened between you two has created a resonance, one I did not expect, but one I must acknowledge. Our monitors detected an unusual energy pattern after your confrontation. The moment you clashed, the moment she resisted, the moment you acted, something aligned." Elias frowned. "Aligned in what way?" Therek studied him. "Your minds reacted to each other. There is compatibility. A strange one, but undeniable." Kira wrapped her arms around herself, unsure whether to be offended or anxious. "I didn't feel anything," she muttered. "You did," Therek said softly. "You just refused to name it." Before she could answer, the lights in the hall dimmed, and a soft voice echoed from the walls. "Ritual alignment begins in 5 minutes." Therek stepped aside. "Commander Ward, if you are willing, take your place at Kira's side." Elias hesitated only a moment. He wasn't spiritual, but he respected other cultures. And something in Kira's earlier training, her honesty, her effort, pulled at him. "I'll do it," he said. Kira looked at him sharply, surprised. "You will?" Elias shrugged lightly. "Someone has to make sure you don't pretend to know all the steps." A spark of amusement flickered in her eyes, quickly hidden. "Then try to keep up, human." They moved into the glowing circle together. The moment their feet touched the crystalline floor, the light pulsed brighter, as if recognizing them. Elias glanced around. "Is it supposed to react like that?" "No," Kira whispered. "It's not." A soft wind rose from nowhere, swirling around them like floating dust. The 3 moons above aligned slowly, bathing the chamber in shifting colors. Therek began chanting in the Xyrix language, a calm, melodic tone. The air vibrated. The floor trembled gently. Elias felt pressure behind his eyes, like something brushing his thoughts. Kira stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Don't fight it. Just breathe." The light from the 3 moons poured into the circle. Elias felt it. Warm, cold, sharp, soft, all at once, racing through him. Suddenly images flashed in his mind. Crystal cities, ancient shrines, battlefields filled with shattered moon fragments. And beside him, Kira gasped. "I feel your thoughts," she whispered. "Not clearly, but pieces." Elias swallowed hard, because he felt her too. Her frustration, her fear of failing her father, her anger at losing control, her confusion about what had happened between them, and something small, buried, but real, her curiosity about him. The moons aligned perfectly overhead. A column of white light struck the circle. Elias staggered. Kira grabbed his arm, steadying him. Her touch sent a warm pulse through both of them, like their minds briefly brushed again. When the light faded, the chamber fell silent. Kira stared at Elias, breathing hard. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Whatever just happened, it connected us." Elias didn't deny it. He couldn't. Therek approached, expression unreadable. "The convergence is complete," he said. "And now, both of you understand why you must stay together." Kira frowned. "Stay together? For what purpose?" Therek exhaled slowly. "Because the shattered halo is changing, and neither of you can face what's coming alone." The chamber lights flickered ominously. Something far beyond training had begun. The trilunar chamber remained dim, its glowing circles slowly fading back into silence. Elias and Kira stepped out of the ritual zone, both breathing harder than they wanted to admit. The connection they felt wasn't imagined. Something had touched their minds, their thoughts, their emotions. Something old, something powerful. Therek stood waiting for them, hands folded behind his back. His expression was calm, but his eyes told a different story, concern and urgency. "Follow me," he said quietly. They walked down a long corridor of metallic stone. The lights pulsed along the walls, tracking their movement. Kira stayed at Elias's side, unusually quiet. Their shoulders almost touched. Neither stepped away. Tharek led them into a private briefing chamber. The door sealed behind them, blocking out all sound. With a touch, Tharek activated a holographic table. A swirling map of nearby space appeared. Stars, trade routes, border lines, and finally, a massive, glowing region labeled Shattered Halo, Restricted. Kira inhaled sharply. "Why is the halo on this map?" "Father," Tharek raised a hand. "Because your ritual in the chamber has confirmed something I have long suspected." He tapped a control. The hologram zoomed into the halo. Fragments of a shattered moon drifted in the projection, some as large as cities, others no bigger than stones. All glowing faint blue, like living crystals. Elias studied it closely. "It looks unstable." "It is," Tharek replied. "And it is changing." Another tap. A new layer appeared, pulsing waves, spreading from a central point in the halo. Kira frowned. "Energy movement." "More than that," Tharek said. "This is a call." Kira looked sharply at him. "A call to what?" "To Xyric's bloodlines who carry the ancient resonance," he said quietly. "Including you." Elias felt Kira tense beside him. During the ritual, Tharek continued, "When the three lights aligned, your mind resonated with energies older than our written history. These energies come from the halo's remains." Kira stepped forward, eyes wide. "The halo fragments, they're reacting to me?" "And to him," Tharek added, glancing at Elias. Elias felt a chill trace his spine. "To me? How? I'm not Xyrix." "No," Tharek said slowly. "But the ritual bound your thoughts for a moment. Your minds synchronized. That is rare between Xyrix partners. Unheard of between Xyrix and human." Kira looked at Elias, eyes shining with confusion and something like curiosity. Tharek continued. "The halo recognized this bond. And it responded." Kira's voice dropped. "Father, is this why you brought us into the chamber together?" "Yes." Tharek didn't hide it. "I suspected there might be resonance between you two after the incident yesterday." Elias kept his tone neutral. "Resonance or not, spitting in someone's face is still assault." Kira flushed a dark green. "I apologized." "You didn't," Elias said calmly. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Tharek cleared his throat. "We are not discussing etiquette. We are discussing survival." He switched the hologram again. A new image appeared, shocking enough to silence the room. A mining facility, hidden among the halo's fragments. Industrial drills. Cargo platforms. Ships with no official signatures. Kira's voice trembled. "Someone is mining our moon relics." "Yes," Tharek said. "An illegal syndicate. And their operations have disturbed something ancient and dangerous." Elias stepped closer to the display. "You've known this for how long?" 3 days, Tharek admitted. "But only after the lunar convergence ritual did I understand the full threat." Kira's gaze sharpened. "Then why not alert the Dominion Council?" "Because the Council is divided," Tharek replied. "Half want war, half want isolation. A revelation like this could break the balance. And a conflict with humans would be unavoidable." Elias folded his arms. "Where do I come into this?" Tharek looked him straight in the eye. "You were chosen by the ritual." Elias blinked. "I didn't choose any ritual." Tharek nodded. "Yet it chose you. The halo's energy reacted to your combined presence. That means you are linked to its current awakening." Kira stared at Elias, eyes searching his face. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft, almost hesitant. "Commander, the halo may be calling both of us." Elias didn't look away. "I felt something. But I need facts." Tharek turned back to the hologram. "The facts are simple. The halo is unstable. Its energy is spiking, and Kira must undergo her rite of ascension there. If she does not, the resonance she carries, strengthened by the ritual, will become unstable." Kira stiffened. "Unstable? How unstable?" Tharek hesitated. "Without the rite, your mind may fracture." Elias felt the air go cold. Kira whispered, "Father." Tharek stepped close, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "I am sorry. I wanted more time. But the halo is reacting faster than expected." Elias spoke firmly. "So what's the plan?" Tharek straightened. "A joint human, Xyrix expedition. Small. Quiet. You two at its center. Kira blinked. Me and him. Yes, Therek said. Because the halo has chosen both of you. And because together, you may be able to stabilize what is waking inside it. Elias took a slow breath. Kira looked at him again. Fear, pride, and something deeper swirling in her eyes. And for the first time, Elias understood. This mission wasn't political. It wasn't diplomatic. It was personal. For both of them. Therek ended the briefing with a final statement. Prepare yourselves. You leave for the shattered halo at dawn. Dawn never truly came to Helion Spire, not the way it did on Earth. Instead, pale silver light spread slowly across the city as the planet's smaller sun rose behind drifting clouds. That same cold light glowed against the hull of the TDS Valiant, the covert ship chosen for the mission. Commander Elias Ward stood on the boarding platform, running final checks on his gear. The air smelled of metal, fuel, and something sharper, the scent of danger just ahead. Behind him, engineers hurried to load supplies while Terran and Xyrix officers exchanged tense glances. Joint missions were rare. Quiet joint missions were almost unheard of. Elias secured his wrist comm and looked up as footsteps approached. Kira Thal stepped into view, dressed in Xyrix tactical armor, sleek, silver, and woven with faintly glowing lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. Her face looked calm, but Elias could see tension in her eyes. You're early, he said. I didn't sleep, she replied. He nodded. Nervous. She hesitated. Not exactly. More like, there's a pressure inside my mind. As if something is waiting for me out there. Elias didn't dismiss it. After what happened in the trilunar chamber, he knew better. Stick close, he said. We'll handle whatever comes. Her expression softened, just a little. You speak as if we're partners. Aren't we? He replied. She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped onto the ship. The journey to the shattered halo was silent. No music. No chatter. Only the hum of engines and the quiet beeps of scanners. Elias stood in the command section reviewing their path. Kira joined him, watching the swirling stars stretch into lines as the ship entered sublight drift. How far is the halo from here? She asked. 3 hours, Elias answered. Less if the currents stay stable. Will they? Kira asked, eyes never leaving the holographic map. Elias studied the unstable energy readings. Probably not. Kira's lips tightened. Good. Elias raised a brow. You like unstable environments? No, she said softly. But I need to be there. Every moment we get closer, the pressure in my mind increases. Like a thread being pulled. Elias watched her for a second. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't even trying to hide her unease. That alone was unusual. Kira normally buried every emotion under pride. You're handling this better than most officers I've trained, he said. She glanced at him. I'm trying. Trying is enough. She didn't look away. You always say things like that. Things that are simple, but they change how I feel. Elias opened his mouth to answer, but the alarm chimed. Approaching boundary zone. The stars outside shifted. The darkness thickened, and then Elias saw it. The shattered halo. It hung like a broken crown in space, glittering fragments of a destroyed moon orbiting in a strange, silent dance. The pieces glowed faint blue, pulsing as if alive. Kira inhaled sharply. I can hear it. Elias stared at her. Hear what? The halo, she whispered. It's calling. He didn't hear anything, but he believed her. The Valiant slowed to a glide as sensors activated. Commander, the pilot said, I'm detecting structures. Elias leaned closer. Show me. A screen lit up with a rotating image, metal scaffolding attached to the largest moon fragment. Drills. Cargo arms. Small ships moving like insects. Kira's voice darkened. The illegal miners. Elias nodded. Looks like they've been here for months. Another voice cut in from the back of the bridge. Kira's father, Therek, who had insisted on accompanying the mission despite the risks. They are harvesting moonstone, he said bitterly. They are desecrating our sacred ruins. Elias asked, what's our entry plan? We split forces, Therek replied. My guards create a distraction on the far side of the fragment. You and Kira approach the shrine directly. Kira frowned. Alone? Therek shook his head. With Commander Ward. The meaning was clear. Elias and Kira were bound, spiritually, mentally, whatever the ritual had awakened, and the halo itself reacted to them. Sending them together wasn't a choice. It was a necessity. The shuttle descended toward the moon fragment. Dust and glowing debris drifted past the windows. Elias felt his stomach tighten as the fragment's surface came into view. Sharp ridges, glowing cracks, and scattered machinery left behind by the miners. Kira stood beside him, armor glowing softly. "Do you feel that?" "No," Elias said. "But I feel you reacting to it." She placed a hand on her temple. "The closer we get, the louder it becomes. Like a memory trying to wake up." The shuttle touched down with a hiss. Elias stepped onto the moonstone ground. The surface glowed faintly beneath his boots. Kira stepped beside him, her breath catching. "This is where my ancestors stood," she whispered. "Then let's make sure it's still here for future ones," Elias replied. They moved forward cautiously. The shrine entrance should have been a smooth curled arch carved into the moonstone. Instead, Kira froze. The path was collapsed. Mining drills and broken beams littered the ground. The ceremonial gate was shattered. "No," she whispered, voice breaking. Elias put a steady hand on her shoulder. "We'll find another way." Kira shook her head. "You don't understand. There is no other way. The gates had a pattern, a sequence. Without them, then we'll make a new sequence," Elias said firmly. She stared at him, stunned. "You can't just redesign a sacred ritual." "Why not?" Elias stepped in front of her, eyes calm and steady. "Your ancestors followed the moon. Today, the moon follows you. Adaptation is part of survival." Kira inhaled sharply. For a moment, her fear melted into determination. "Fine," she said, "but I'll need you to trust me." "I already do," Elias replied. She held his gaze for a few seconds, then nodded once. Together, they stepped into the glowing ruins. Not knowing that the deeper they went, the more the halo would awaken, and the more dangerous their bond would become. The deeper Elias and Kira moved into the broken moon fragment, the stranger everything became. The tunnels were not carved by tools, at least, not tools from any living civilization. The walls shimmered with veins of blue moonstone, glowing faintly, as if responding to Kira's presence. Elias kept one hand near his weapon, the other free to steady her if needed. The air felt charged, like a storm waiting to break. Kira slowed. "Do you feel that?" Elias scanned the tunnel. "I feel pressure, like the air is listening." "It's not the air," Kira murmured. "It's the halo. It knows we're here." They rounded a final bend and stepped into a vast chamber. It was breathtaking. A wide, circular cavern opened before them. Moonstone pillars rose toward the fractured ceiling. A broken altar, still glowing, rested at the center. Small shards floated around it like slow-moving fireflies, drifting in a silent orbit. But something felt wrong. Elias noticed the scorch marks first, then the collapsed beams, then the torn-apart equipment. "Miners were here," he said. "Recently." Kira's eyes dimmed with grief. "They tore through our sacred site, just to steal crystal." Elias stepped closer to the altar. The light inside it flickered weakly, as if struggling to stay alive. Kira approached slowly, fear and hope fighting in her eyes. "This is it," she whispered. "The heart of the halo. The place of my right." Elias glanced around. "Tell me what you need to do." "There are steps," Kira said. "A sequence. 7 points of resonance. But several are gone, destroyed." "Then we improvise," Elias said. Kira shook her head. "You cannot improvise a ritual this old." "Kira," Elias said gently, "your people followed this ritual because it worked for them. You are not them. And this altar has been calling you specifically. Maybe it wants something new." Kira stared at him. "You believe that?" "I believe in you," he answered. The words hit her harder than any ritual energy. She exhaled slowly, steadying herself. "Very well," she said. "We try." They stepped up to the altar together. Kira placed her palm on its glowing surface. Elias mirrored her, placing his own hand opposite hers. The moment their skin touched the moonstone, a burst of light exploded outward. Kira gasped. Elias staggered, but didn't pull away. The chamber vibrated. The floating shards spun faster, blinking like stars waking from sleep. Kira's voice trembled. "The right, it's reading my mind." Elias closed his eyes. "Then let it read mine too." Their bond flared. A warm rush. A pull. A merging of thought. Kira saw flashes of Elias's memories. Earth cities, training fields, battles, nights spent alone staring at the sky. His sense of duty. His resilience. His quiet strength. Elias saw Kira's childhood, standing before ancient shrines, Her father's expectations, her loneliness behind her confident mask, her fear of failing the legacy she carried. Their thoughts touched, not fully merging, but intertwining. A bridge. A balance. The altar pulsed brighter. Kira cried out. It's responding. Elias gripped her hand across the altar. Stay with me. I'm trying, she whispered, her voice shaking. The chamber trembled harder. Loose stones fell from above. A deep, humming sound rose from the moonstone floor. Kira's skin glowed faint emerald. Elias's eyes flickered with traces of blue light, reflections of Kira's moon resonance. Then, suddenly, the altar cracked open. A beam of pure white energy shot upward. Elias shielded Kira as the light exploded around them. For a moment, everything vanished. No chamber, no walls, no gravity, only light. Kira's voice echoed inside Elias's mind. Elias, don't let go. Never, he answered without hesitation. The light began to reshape around them, forming symbols, patterns, a new sequence built from both their minds. The ancient rite, reborn. When the chamber finally returned into view, the altar had changed. The cracks sealed. The glow strengthened. The floating shards had aligned into a perfect circle above them. Kira opened her eyes slowly. They glowed brighter than before, steady, strong, certain. It's done, she whispered. The rite accepted us. It accepted both of us. Elias released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. You did it. We did it, Kira corrected quietly. Footsteps echoed behind them. Tharek entered the chamber with 2 Xyrix guards. His eyes widened at the restored altar, the glowing air, the floating shards. It has awakened, he breathed. You have completed the rite in a way no one ever has. Kira approached him. The halo is not meant for Xyrix alone, father. Not anymore. Tharek looked between Kira and Elias. For once, the proud envoy didn't try to hide his emotion. Then the galaxy will have to learn to accept what you two have become, he said. Kira turned to Elias. So what are we now? She asked softly. Elias looked at her glowing eyes, then up at the circle of floating moon fragments above them. Partners, he said. Kira held his gaze. In the right. And beyond, Elias replied. A slow smile rose on her lips, gentle, proud, relieved. Outside, the shattered halo glowed brighter than it had in centuries. Because 2 worlds, once divided by fear, had just taken their first step toward becoming something new. Together.